Hi there, thanks for joining us for this KOIN Plus Celebrating Pride. I'm Elizabeth Din, and joining me is my friend and colleague, Chief Meteorologist Josh Cozart. Hi there, Josh.
Hey, Liz, thanks so much for having me.
Well, thanks for being here, and I love that, we are celebrating Pride this month, but what's great about here in this community, here in Portland and beyond, really Pride isn't just the month of June. We've got events going in July and really all year long. And I love that you are very proud about how you celebrate Pride as well. And I want you to take it from there and tell me how you're very involved, not only at KOIN, but also here in our community. You and your husband are very involved in Pride events, like I said, year round.
Yeah, we really are. And I feel so fortunate enough to work for such a great company, KOIN 6, that allows me and my husband they're constantly pulling him into events that we get to celebrate Pride with all of you at home 365 days a year. So we really appreciate that. And just if anyone is curious as to how my husband is roped into all of this, he is a local, I would say, I'm a little biased, but drag icon celebrity Nicolonoscopy, and she is a hoot and a half to say the least. And so we are going around town year round celebrating Pride, anything from brunches to nighttime shows to she's a big bingo host as well. So we do a lot of different fun activities, but of course during the month of June, Pride Month here across the country and world, that's where we really get to be highlighted and celebrate our differences and what makes us unique. Because for so long, a lot of people weren't able to show their true colors. And now that the world is changing, we want to be able to shine as bright as we possibly can. And we get a unique thing here in Portland, too, where we not only celebrate Pride during the month of June, but we get to celebrate for 2 months because Portland's Pride isn't until the end of July as well. So the summer months are extremely busy months for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I'm so glad you're able to share a little bit about yourself. And then what we're going to introduce to is like we have many stories. We have a Celebrating Pride half-hour special that is airing this month. And if you miss it, we'll make it available for you guys. I also wanted to show how we're kind of going to introduce just a bit. And this is a story I did for my Northwest Grown series, but it also coincides with Pride in that this is called the Queer Wine Fest. And so Remy Drabkin, who owns a winery and is the founder of the Queer Wine Fest, this year she's doing it again at her property, but also there are some outside winemakers from, I believe, Washington and from California. And just looking at this, it's going to be in Dayton for the 4th year in a row. It's coming up here this month in June. The tickets are already on sale, so it's going to be at June 29th. And Josh, you actually know Remy. I was talking to you about this. And you tell me a little bit more about not just how she's a winemaker, she was a former mayor, but also you saw her do this pretty cool first performance of a kind, basically.
Yeah. So Remy and I, we've known each other now for a few years, all in part to Nicolonoscopy, my husband or wife, either way you look at it. And so Remy was part of the crew that really started Wine Country Pride. So Nicole was hired a lot to do their events. So I got to know Remy really well. I got to know a lot of the folks out in the McMinnville wine community and celebrating, again, Pride as they do, 365 days, just like us here at KOIN 6. But it was, I think, last month or maybe 2 months ago or so, we were out in McMinnville. Nicolonoscopy was hosting one of their events, and Remy got to be put in drag king style. So that's where she dressed up as a male impersonator. So she did a really good performance that the community, you can just see rallies around Remy, and it was so touching, and she made a lot of money, too. I was the person picking up all the dollar bills for her.
People were very impressed.
They were. And it was just a great time and a great celebration of community in a place like McMinnville.
And I love it because as we're going to see when I show this full interview, and only a segment of this aired in my Northwest Grown a few weeks ago because of our newscast, so we only had a couple of minutes. And so this interview goes on for actually several minutes, and that's why I'm really glad that here on KOIN Plus, those of you tuning in will get to see a little bit more of our conversation. But you'll definitely hear her local roots, how proud she is, how proud she is that this area celebrates Pride, and how she is, just like Josh said, like, this is a place where you feel very welcome and you can be yourself and it's embraced. But I love that she also said that, look, even if you don't identify as queer or in the LGBTQ plus community, you're an ally, though. You're also welcome to that, you know? And we have a little more time, Josh, if you can tell me about that, like, not just the Queer Wine Fest, but other events that you go to, that for those who maybe have never been before, that also is the vibe, that they can come as well and be an ally.
Absolutely so. And I think in particular, I use drag as kind of an example because I think that is the most out there scenario. And I've been to every type of drag show here in the Portland area and even across the country. And it's not what you might think it is. If you've never been before, I think some people think that it's a risque art, but I got to tell you, there are so many layers of tights on a lot of these queens that it is far from that. It's a performance art. The artistry of just even putting on the makeup is truly spectacular, and you're able to see the true colors of what this person wants to reflect. And it is such a welcoming scenario. I get people coming up to me at a lot of these shows thanking me for being so visible, which I'm just trying to live my day in and day out life as I am. But again, I think that goes back to really showing what Pride means to so many people. And if you've never been before, maybe just try it. Keep an open mind. There is so much fun and enjoyment and excitement. The queer community is always there to have open arms.
Yeah, well said. It's for people of all ages, all backgrounds, all walks of life. It's really a celebration, and so it's about coming to support one group. And as there are many celebrations throughout the year, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is like celebrating and even asking those questions if you've never been.
Absolutely.
What it's about, you know, don't let stereotypes or assumptions feed your mind, but to come out and get to know people.
And create some really awesome friends as well.
Yeah, and like you said, drag performances, are just one of many examples. And I always talk about how food and wine, those are other things, like you're breaking bread with people. That's where we all find common ground. Then you have, again, those conversations. And then you learn so much more about other people and yourself. And then you find out, hey, we have a lot more in common than I thought.
Yeah. And I think that drag and just the queer community in general does a great job of that. We're always excited to talk to new people and answer any questions that you might have.
Josh, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
A great point that, you're just doing you. You love weather, but you also have great presence on social media. But really, I think you doing you and being you and showing that confidence, that also just resonates with people all around everywhere, and one person at a time, you're showing people like, this is who I am, and just you be you. That's really the message too.
And that is the main meaning of Pride.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks.
Well said. And you guys, I'm going to share with you this interview, the long version that I did with Remy. Josh, thank you again. You guys enjoy as you celebrate Pride with everybody and with us here at KOIN.
Hi, everybody, and let's welcome Remy Drabkin, who's joining us now for this Northwest Grown. Remy, so founder of Remy Wines, welcome. And we have a lot to talk about in a short time. So first of all, let's talk about how things started for you. You have a lot of local pride, a local gal with local roots, and then that blossomed into really what it is, a business right now. Tell me more.
Sure. A lot to say in a short amount of time is like the story of my life. I am from McMinnville. I've spent the majority of my life there, although benefited from living in other countries and other parts of the U.S. as well, but always came back and called this place home. I started my business in 2006, and that was after having worked in the wine industry since I was 14 years old. And that business has been this great opportunity to do other things for the community and the business itself, the community, and the region. And so some of the things that we've done at Remy Wines have been, we've launched 2 different nonprofits. Both were collaborations with other businesses. The first was really focused on getting some tourism to McMinnville. And now that is a booming industry there. And then the second is called Wine Country Pride. And while it Remy Wines was kind of the place where everyone gathered. It was also the business ownership of Chehalem Valley Dance Academy and Pollinate Flowers. And there was a small group of us, along with some other people that really just put these pride celebrations on. And they were the first pride celebrations in the region. That lent itself to becoming a nonprofit. And then, as that nonprofit became successful and does events year round and all over the region, at Remy Wines, we decided to do a wine focused event that also honored the queer community. And that's how we started Queer Wine Fest, which is a fundraiser for Wine Country Pride. So I don't know, that's a small foray into one of the ways in which kind of my community action has benefited from my business or vice versa. We've also done a lot in terms of sustainability, and it's a whole other story of trying to say a lot in a little amount of time. But we had an adaptive reuse project at our old tractor barn, and our research team, comprised of people from Oregon State University and laboratories out of Seattle and local businesses, created a carbon sequestering structural concrete. And then that launched a new business. It's called Solid Carbon, that's now put carbon sequestering structural concrete around the state and continues to do a lot of research on a highly impactful process, with concrete being responsible for about 7 to 9% of the world's total CO2 emissions. So maybe you can see, I think of Remy Wines, it's not just a business for me, it's really an incubator for our community.
Yeah, you are doing a lot. You are very involved, clearly. And it sounds like while this is a lot of hard work, Remy, what may be easy, and tell me if this is correct, on those days when you must feel like, gosh, I'm doing so much, I'm a little tired. But this is all stuff that you love, for a place that you love, for a community that you love. Can you tell me about that? How, like I said, when those days when you might feel like, man, my plate is so packed full of things on it, but I'm doing things that I really care about for people I care about.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, at this moment in my life, those days are fewer and further between. So I recently ended 14 years of public service with the city of McMinnville, and most recently as the mayor of McMinnville. So when I look at my level of busyness right now in life compared to a year ago or 2 years ago or more, I don't have I don't have the same drain in the same way. And part of that is because I get to focus and work on only the things that really inspire me. And so I'm putting a lot of energy into the nonprofit right now. And that is shown through Queer Wine Fest, which supports about 30 queer-led businesses overall, and um, many of them local businesses, although also wineries from Washington and California. And I think to try to answer your question a little more directly, on those days when you feel kind of run down or just like things can be a little overwhelming, I always try to look at the impact of what happened when I advocated for myself. And a lot of the good things that have happened in our region are really a result of self-advocacy and trying my best to take care of and create space that I would love to be in and want to be in. And in doing so, we just made this whole region more queer friendly and welcoming, and Remy Wines is a great reflection of that. So I think that ability to just look around and see the reflection of that work, if you'll call it, or these things that I choose to do reflected in and around me is really all I need to find that hope and go back into action.
Well, and doing that from that authentic part of yourself, right? And how that has stemmed into now what's going to be the 4th annual largest event of its kind, right? Which is pretty cool. That's a welcoming space for people who maybe in their work or even sometimes in their personal lives, they may not feel quite as comfortable. But for an event like yours, I often hear people say, this is a space or this is where I'm people where I can feel like I'm different, but I'm the same. And what does it feel like when you hear that reaction that prior to this, there wasn't any kind of wine celebration of its kind for the LGBTQ plus community, Remy, and how welcoming and inclusive that can be. And you help to be part of that because you understand.
Yeah, so Queer Wine Fest is a big impact on the area. Not only does it raise money for Wine Country Pride, which in turn gives scholarships and puts out community grants that are really focused on economic activity and general business support, in addition to all of the celebrations. Um, but I think that it's really important to note, especially when you're talking about serving the queer community and the work that I do as part of and for the queer community, is that the queer community is all community. We're old and young. We are every race and religion and ethnicity, and we're in pretty much every political party, and we are very rich and we are very poor and everywhere in between. And truthfully, our community suffers at higher rates of homelessness and drug addiction and suicide than other communities. So creating safe gathering spaces, really for all people, because queer people are all people, it is important not only for those who live here, but it also has a huge impact on who wants to come here. So we did an economic impact study at Queer Wine Fest last year, and we had visitors from 10 different states and from Canada. We literally were putting beds in heads for multiple nights, supporting the local economy well beyond that space. And the reason of the draw, I think, is because something you were suggesting at or hinting at, but that it's a exceptionally queer space. And that doesn't mean that you have to be gay to attend, but it means that it's just so flowing with queer joy. It's not queerness on display. It is a queer festival by and for queer community that celebrates everyone. Lots of people go that aren't queer, and I hope that you can kind of hear how those two things can be true at the same time. I like to use the example of my mom. My mom goes to Queer Wine Fest. She loves it. Is my mom queer? No, but she has two queer children and a queer sister and a queer brother-in-law and a queer niece and a queer granddaughter. I mean, she is so embedded in queer culture, and so it's really wonderful in that space. And I don't think it is a comparative space. I don't think there's anyone that's attending that's thinking that's comparing it necessarily, but more just really leaning into the celebratory nature of it and how great it feels to be in a space that's created to celebrate you.
I love that. Well said. And it goes back to what I was thinking is it makes me think of that word inclusion. All are welcome. And that's the kind of vibe that you create with music, with wine, with food, with the setting. Yeah. It's all beautiful. It's fun. It's good vibes. And at the heart of it, which so often brings people together, is our vibrant area. And it's going back to how you know that. You've known it your whole life. And we're getting more and more international recognition for our vibrant wine community. I mean, how cool is that? That something that you've known for so long, I know for you, you're like, gosh, I could just scream it at the top of the highest mountain. We have a great area here, great agricultural and food scene. And I think your event, can you talk about how that's one way it highlights it? Well, it does highlight the queer community. It also highlights how we can all come together and have common ground when we just raise a glass, break some bread together too, Remy.
Yeah. So I think when you think about Queer Wine Fest and what are you showing up to? First of all, you get to drive out to what I often refer to as the most beautiful place in the world, because the rolling hills of the Willamette Valley are so gorgeous. It's one of the great things about working in the wine industry. Sometimes you're driving to work in the hills very, very early in the morning and seeing incredible sunrises, or you're traveling at night and seeing these incredible night skies. But the hills covered in clover right now are immaculate. So you're in this exceptionally beautiful country setting. And when you arrive at Queer Wine Fest, it's an outdoor wine festival. We are focused on, yes, queer-led wineries, but this also event is featuring about 20 wineries. And so we have a tremendous number of local producers. Of course, we're highlighting the products that are grown and produced on our farm or our vineyard. And then in addition to that, the food is catered by a wonderful local caterer that works with local farms. Some of the entertainment, one of the great things that we're going to have this year that I just thought was so much fun is I invited a friend of mine who's an aerialist to just be part of the environment. And so, when you think about kind of having your roots in an area and seeing that reflected later on, having a friend that you went to high school with and you're now able to work with and bring back and doing something so joyful and wonderful with is really nice. So you have 20 wineries, great food, live stage show. As you just heard the aerialist, we make it it's a really fun space. So it's a lot of things, it's a lot of activations and things to do. People have a great time. There's people dancing, or at least there were at the end last year. And so kind of you need to come prepared to have a great time. And then this year, continuing in the local impact, we are partnered with the Vintages and the Atticus Hotel for preferred pricing for Queer Wine Fest attendees, so you can stay in the area. We are also working on some transportation partners. Our photographers, we worked with the Willamette Valley Vineyards Association, the Willamette Valley Visitors Association for a grant to bring in really talented local photographers and videographers so we can continue to tell that story of Queer Wine Fest and the atmosphere that it's creating.
Okay, great rundown. I love it. That's your fourth. And so, of course, those who've been there before know that there'll be some new things to expect. And those who've never been before are going to get a world of a great experience. For those who are going to tune into this, Remy, and they won't be able to come that weekend, what do you want to tell them about coming down another weekend, another time to check out Remy Wines and to your region?
Mm-hmm. Well, anybody's going to have a great time when they visit the Willamette Valley. It's a welcoming space. Generally, the wine industry is generally a welcoming space, and the food here is great, and there's just it's a wonderful place to visit. Also, one of the benefits of Queer Wine Fest has been all of these professional networks made in the wine industry. So if you were really specifically wanting to come to Queer Wine Fest, but you couldn't get out here on June 29th, then you could come and plan on starting your wine tour at Remy Wines, and we would happily help curate your experience and visit other wineries that are represented at Queer Wine Fest. Whether or not you selected from those wineries or others in the area, it's a great day here. I wish I could show you how beautiful of a setting it is here today, but it's always really tremendous. And this is a great time of year to visit too, as I look out over a field of peonies and clovers and poppies and bachelor buttons that is just alive with a whole bunch of bees and happy, I think people should just come here and be happy with us.
Yeah, and your smile says it all. I can see the wind, the gentle breeze next to the flag. I mean, yeah, I think, and I often say too, and we've been sharing some pictures that you provided, but being there really hits all the senses. And I know that's what you encourage people to do when we can have a chat like this, that pictures and the best video can give you a great idea, but really when you're there, that's when you get that full experience. And that's what your festival is all about.
Yeah, they'll be both visiting winemakers. Sorry, a little truck rolled by in the background there. Both the visiting winemakers and the attendees, and just generally people that come and visit us at Remy Wines, they all talk about how they feel. They just feel welcome from the second they walk in the door. That we create a space that you want to be in and spend time in. So we look forward to sharing that.
Awesome. Remy, can you believe it? It's been almost 20 minutes at this point. It has been a delight. And I know that that is just a snapshot of what we can talk about and enjoy. And I'm so grateful that you made time for us. And we'll let people know about this upcoming event. And I know it's going to be packed for your 4th annual. I am going to wrap this up, but thank you again, Remy Drabkin of Remy Wines, as you have this big event coming up. I know lots of people will come.